tragic accidents just happen all the time in Carroll County. I'm just saying. It's a very, very unlucky place to live. They dropped the charges because it was accidental. You don't accidentally run over somebody and back up and try to do it again. Let's start from the beginning as investigative reporters, right? So you would ask the questions who, what, where, when, and why. Should be easy, right? Of course it is. Yes, I know, you're innocent until proven guilty, but what good does that do you if you are not alive?
Well, hello there, my silky friends, and I guess hello to my shady enemies. I mean, boy, what a day, right? Tell me if you can't hear. I have changed a little bit of the background. I'm trying to make it look a little bit more warm and fuzzy, because when you talk about crime and the M word, you got to be warm and fuzzy, right? Okay, let me tell you from the very beginning, my cat, Sachi, she's in heat. And so, yeah, you may hear a lot of squalls and stuff. She can get quite loud at times, but it is what it is, I have to keep her in here because, there are other cats and we don't need no more cats. Let me say hello to everybody who's here in the beginning of the chat. I try to say hello when I see somebody pop up, and I try to get to questions. Here's the thing. Not casting shade, okay? On anybody. There's a lot that goes to this. If you want to support this channel, hit the like button on this, and so it goes out. But I do not expect people to pay me money to ask me a question. Now, if I had a gazillion people, I probably just wouldn't see them. But, I just want you to know. I'm here for, if somebody sends me something, that's great. If they don't, yeah, that's great too. I want your company. I want your company. Hello, Just Deb and Skittles. Good to see ya. Samantha, hey. Olivia, hello. Oh, a new sub. Thank you. Good to see you. Shane, good to see you too. How you doing? Unmasked Truth. Hello. Some of y'all are going to say that you've got a wrench. I didn't ask you. I'm sorry. Digital. There's probably a few more I need to give a wrench to. I really don't have a whole lot of problems with trolls until CJ and I get together, and then people like to troll, and I tell you what, it's kind of fun. Honestly. Well, I'll say this. I don't see the comments. I try to keep up with it, but I don't see it. I have some awesome mods and some that didn't know they're mods, but it shouldn't be too hard because I usually don't get trolled. Let's see. Olivia, Unmasked. Let me make sure. I get everybody. Janie Lane. Hi. Okay, let me see what you're saying. Okay, your son is about to stop. Well, you know, family comes first. I get it. Magic. Okay. Hello, Magic. Oh, you're from Twitch. Hello. I didn't even know. I stream to Twitch kind of to back up my videos, but tell you the truth, I never see anything on there. So hey, I hope you like true crime. We're talking about all kind of stuff. Rebecca Ann, hello. Good evening. Brittany, hello, hello. Four Pits. Woo! If Rob Ives says they were staged, I'm going with Rob. Yeah, and well, we're going to talk about there were some things because Four Pits, there is so much going on, and geez, Delphi is the never-ending rabbit hole, right? But we're gonna look at some stuff because I've got some questions. Hey, Laura Thompson, good to see you. Angie Pangie, whoops. I hit the wrong button. I almost put you in timeout, Angie. I'm sorry. Like that. It's not gonna happen. It's crazy when you're trying to do this live and keep up with everybody. I just want to say hello to everybody that is here. Lone Pony, hello. Hello, Art of Deduction. I watched one of your videos the other day. Let's see. Where's Grizz? Grizz never comes up when I don't ever see. There he is. Hey, Grizz. How you doing? By the way, thank all of you who, all of you who sent me such nice little messages about my video earlier. Yeah, I was pretty steamed up. Here's the thing. When you're a ginger, and I'm a dark ginger, but when it's always right there boiling beneath the surface, And yeah, that one just I had to go on a rant. Y'all know. I don't usually do that either. Can you hear? I'm sorry, Sachi. Nat the realist. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. Bonnie, hey, how you doing? All right. Like I said, I don't want to. Oh, Lori, you missed it. You missed it. My cat, Sachi. When I used to have my background, and the room was bigger. Like now, I'm against a wall. You would see her like jumping over stuff and all that. Well, that's Sachi. She's in heat, and we're all miserable. Yeah. So it added to the day. Samantha says you didn't rant, you vented. Yeah. To me, that was a rant. Certainly, still, I've never seen my jail personality, and I never intend to show you that as well. It's a different world, different kind of people. I want to give a shout out to okay, let me get this name. I always get it wrong. Unsolved Crimes Uncovered just put out a video. If you haven't watched it, when you get done here, go watch it. It's really good. And let me tell you something about her. Back when I did my last video on Flora, like back in June, maybe, she had such good research on the fires in Indiana. And I played like 10 minutes or so of her video because there was no way I could reproduce that. And so I emailed her and I asked her, hey, can I play this? And she's like, sure, just, give me credit. And I did. And she has done some excellent research on Delphi. So I'm just saying, I don't know if y'all knew. I did know this part. There's a lot in her video I did not know. I did know this part, and I meant to say it, and I didn't say it. When she said it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I knew that. But she was talking about part of the Frank's motion and how Richard Allen actually said that he didn't say he was at the CPS building. He said he was at the old Farm Bureau building. And yeah, I noticed that too. And of course, I didn't know where that was. And one of you lovely people online decided, said something about it was a building and they tore it down around 2012. And then somewhere in that area. And now there's a parking lot and a new building. So what I didn't realize is it's like a mile and a half away. Seems like an awfully long way away to park. However, if you are wanting to exercise, it may not be. Hey, Cop Facts, how you doing? Yeah, she is, isn't she? Though she is really amazing and very, very sweet and gracious. To let me share that. So, yeah, give her a watch. All right. I think I've said hello to everybody. So, yeah, okay, just a quick recap. Y'all know the motion came down today. They're letting Judge Gull, have her extra days, whatever. Hold on just a second. I just read that. She's getting her extra time. Whatever. I hope that doesn't mean anything. I'm not going to read too much into that. It could be standard procedure. Somebody asks for some more time, I just worry sometimes because more time in Indiana usually means more chance of corruption. But, and man, we're going to go soon. Just to let you know, I'm going to be doing another one on the Hall of Shame in Indiana, Carroll County, Delphi. Jeez Louise. It just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. And there are a lot of things that I want to talk to you about, especially you people who are in the area and have been there for a while. I found some really shady things that I hadn't heard about as I was researching this week. And I don't know what the end result of some of these cases were. So I am really going to be leaning on y'all to tell me what happened. Where is David Rogers? It was the funniest thing. Hold on. He says, who, hi, Silky? Me and you, who? Yeah, if you saw my video that I published earlier, I told my members in Sunday nights live, members only live, I told them like half the story because the other half hadn't happened yet. I was just, ranting a little bit to, members. And then, once the second half happened, I'm just, I was over it. I was over it. Hello, Velvet Underground. Yes, please subscribe to Cop Facts. Oh my gosh. What a wealth of information he is. Miranda Lee, hello. All right. So what I was going to talk about, and let me just make sure I haven't missed anybody's important. Yeah, Laura Thompson. Just for the record, I think I said it all in my earlier video about the harassment. You have not, to the perpetrator, you have not unnerved me. You have not shamed me or anything else or shocked or whatever that you think that you're doing. Just so you know. All you did is give me a lawsuit. If it comes to that. I'd rather not, but it's not off the table. Okay, so, I was doing some research because here is the thing, and this is like, I really want this to be a discussion, okay? And those of you who have a background in criminology or, law enforcement or whatever, please feel free. Like, I am going to be keeping up with your stuff. I was doing some research and like many videos. Okay. So there is a wealth of information out there, but I'm trying to find some stuff because this whole staging, it's like Robert Ives from the very beginning said it was staged. Other people have said it was staged, but then the PCA kind of makes you think. And here is the dilemma. If you're going to go the occult route, there was, you know, it was a time of the year for certain occult, rituals, and it could fit. Okay. So I can't discount it completely because there are elements that fit. But we're going to talk about staging because I wanted to know. Not, I understand what staging means, but what I didn't understand is like all the details about it. And I found it very fascinating. Um, Miranda, yes, I do still have a Discord. Um, Let me get back up to here. Shane, I've got a background in YouTube. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Sachi, please. Please, baby, go lay down. All right. This is the end of the last thing that we looked at. Let me get rid of this comment. Hold on just a second. I didn't mean to take up more space. Like you need 5 hands to do a live. All right. But I'm going to let's talk about some staging, okay? And I wrote down some of the biggest things that I found consistently amongst other things. And the reason I did this is I'm trying to determine if this, is this crime really staged? And we've talked about it before. It also tells you about the perpetrator if it is staged. So I'm thinking, let me see what kind of person, what kind of criminal, what is the background, the backdrop of staging? And these are some things that I wrote down. Staging is an act of desperation to change the narrative and to taunt law enforcement. Well, that was kind of a no-brainer, right? The desperation part, but that's kind of desperation in a different way. I think as we go on, you'll see what I'm saying. But definitely to change the narrative. So was the Odinism, the staging done to change the narrative? Well, it certainly would, wouldn't it? Instead of looking for I say normal people don't do the crime, what happened to Abby and Libby, but a normal perpetrator would it changes the narrative to a group of nefarious occult people. Certainly those kind of crimes can and do have occurred, all right, but these people feel like they want to taunt the police. They feel maybe of superior intelligence that they can outwit the police. Well, it's true. Some people have outwitted the police for a while. Some crimes have never been solved, but generally speaking, the police see through that. Let's see. Annalise says, I thought the simple act of staging the crime scene to look like something it wasn't. Yes. For instance, a family homicide made to look like a robbery. Yes. And I think that is probably one of the biggest ones, make it look. How many times? 2 things, I think, from what I've seen, okay, the crimes that I've looked at that where staging occurred, it's, making maybe YouTube friendly, making an unaliving of someone else look like a self unaliving. Does that make sense? My gosh, I hate saying this. Acting like someone, did themselves in rather than it was a separate entity. That is like a huge one, right? Make it look like nobody else was involved. And then, yes, something like robbery, you want it to look like, and then arson a lot of times is to hide, someone has been a perpetrator and unalived more, one or more people, and then they turn around and they want to set fire to the house to destroy the evidence, right? Those are the most common things, but they're not the only things. Let me go back up here. People are talking, and I don't want to miss something important. So y'all think it was a based crime. Here's the thing. We don't have the autopsy report. We don't even have the coroner's report. We don't have a lot of things. So we don't know if Mina. It's like the animals come alive. Shh. I'm alive. They don't care. Guess what? The dog and cat, they don't care if I'm alive. They don't care. Whatever. Hello, Kelly Miller. Good to see you. So yeah, I don't know if that is true. There have certainly been a lot of rumors, that there was a pregnancy involved, that there was an inappropriate relationship going on. But these, as far as we know at this point, stop. As far as we know, I mean, she's like going nuts because there is a cat outside. Oh my. Frightening. So anyway, all right, art of deduction. Let's see. If Cop Facts is in here, is there any guess how many true psychopathic staging versus the intent to outwit police? Can you name any classic perpetrators that did staging for pure sadistic reasons? Yeah, you know what, Cop Facts? I would love to pick your brain on a lot of things like that. Oh wait, yeah. Oh, sorry, that was Velvet Underground. You made a comment, art of deduction, and I can't find it now. Oh wait, there we go. One was unclothed and one was clothed. That is true. That is due to their clothes being wet, and he tried to dress them to cover up for, guess what? Possibly. But now, I've heard that, and I saw this from what you would think would be a reputable source, that there was some further wounds on Abby, but that wasn't mentioned, and I have seen no evidence of that. So, we're all just guessing here, without having these reports. Olivia, exactly. Normal people don't commit that type crime. Narcissistic and or psychotic. Definitely. Oh, I'm screaming at y'all. Definitely, I think narcissism. Because if you think that you can outwit the police and you're going to taunt them, then absolutely there's going to be at least some, even if you're not a true narcissist. I think that would be hard to not be in this case. But perhaps you just think that you are intellectually, above. You're just so much smarter in that area. So I don't know. But, that's exactly... that is exactly, I mean, that's the point, right? Shane says clearly it was staged. Laura Thompson, sometimes the police aren't hard to outwit. It depends. Okay. And Anna Lisette says the Delphi offender managed to outsmart police for about 6 years. And if RA is not the right suspect, the Delphi fiend is still at large. Exactly. And that's what I said. I think video, if it wasn't my last live, it was the one before that. That was, and I think this is very important because here we are. We have, from the very beginning of Richard Allen's arrest, they said he's not a lone wolf. They're still taking tips. They're still looking. Okay, if you have the perpetrator and you're putting all your eggs in this basket, then why are you still taking tips? If you've got an ironclad case against him, yes, I know tips help. They help seal the deal, all that. I get it. But multiple people from the state's side, okay, not just the defense, but from the state, they're saying he didn't do this alone. So now we're all focusing on Richard Allen, who, I don't know, it could go either way. For those who aren't familiar, I've said from what I have seen, okay, from the evidence I have seen, if I were on the jury, I would say there is a reasonable doubt because many reasons. I don't think they have an ironclad case, but I have not seen all of the evidence. So what else comes out in court that is compelling? I've always said I'm trying to stay balanced. I listen to both sides, listen to defense, listen to prosecutors. That is the only way. And I hope that the jury, whenever the trial comes around, I hope they do the same thing. All right. So, Mina, please be quiet. It's just a cat. It's just a cat. Okay, there's an old video that showed that back way down the old railroad tracks. It's not that long. Okay, hold on. I am not seeing it. It's not that long of a walk, but anyone could have been taking that same route out of town, but he did not have time. I think I did see a video of somebody, who was that went down the railroad tracks. It was very interesting. Someone needs to remind Siegel to cover up is worse than the crime, especially if the criminal is still on the loose. Yeah, that's my whole thing. You still have at least one. Let's say Richard Allen is guilty as homemade sin. You still have other people out there that they're looking for, and we're also caught up on Richard Allen. That are we really looking at how this ties? Let's say he is involved. How does that tie together? Who else is involved? Because in my opinion, if he was going to roll on somebody, if he's involved, he's had a year to do it in very tough circumstances. So either there are very nefarious and dangerous people around him that would make him, and he's trying to keep his family safe. That is a possibility, that he's not talking because he knows who's involved, and he knows that his family would be in imminent danger. And of course, on the other side, the reason he's not talking is because he's innocent. We don't know one way or the other. But what we do know is everybody, including law enforcement, is telling us that there are other people out there. So for heaven's sakes, why are we so focused on just this one aspect? I mean, and it is important, okay? It is important that we do everything that we can to make sure that things are on the up and up. Right? Everything's transparent. We want to know what the court system's doing. We don't want mistrials. We don't want appeals. We don't want all this stuff. We want justice now. Okay? But regardless of whether it's Richard Allen, there are other people. Let's see. Nat the Realist says, also many criminals do it for fun or to leave their message. Yes, that is true. That is true. They want that notoriety, Velvet says, Egypt Covington's case from Can't Stop, Won't Stop podcast. The perpetrators got the wrong door, so they wrapped the beautiful woman in Christmas lights. It was really over substances at the wrong house. Oh man, that is horrible. That is horrible. And I'll tell you, Velvet, I've heard that case referred to a lot of times, but I really don't know that much about it. Hey, Hiawatha. Good to see ya. like, it's okay. A lot of people are on the replay crew, and that's fine. I read about a crime where a suspect made it to look like a robbery and an essay on a woman. The suspect was the husband. He was convicted. Oh, man. Piece of crap. A math says, shh. Most POIs have had sex offenses, yes. And that was how I started down the rabbit hole, okay? Because my second video back last year that I did on Delphi, I was trying to show how Richard Allen fit the profile, okay? Because he had just been arrested. I, like everybody else, assumed that he was guilty. They've got the right man, right? I didn't know that much. And so as I was going through and I did research and all this stuff, as I was going through there, I was like, okay, this is, the profile of someone who would do this. By the end of the video, I'm like, oh, well, wait a second. He really doesn't fit the profile, does he? And for what we know, okay, I'm sure a lot about him that we don't know. Okay, art of deduction. Exsanguination is one cause of death, and there is a report. Yes, I did see that. And that's kind of, well, we're going to talk about wounds. I promise. Y'all are, and I appreciate so much y'all's comments. Yeah, Janie Lane. Apparently mine too. My dogs, cats, whatever. Okay, and Wisdom Sleuth says, as Abby's time, it wasn't Abby's time of expiration. I hate that word. Sounds like whatever. On 12/15 on 2/14. I have not seen that in writing, but they do have two different dates there. So again, seeing some of these reports would be very helpful. Blurry Face. Hello, Blurry Face. Haven't seen you before. This case gets stranger by the day. Yeah. And just when you think you can take a break and cover another case, there's just more. Let me go on just a little bit, because this is just scratching the surface. Okay. The perpetrator can also stage, here's another reason, to distance himself from the crime psychologically so they can live with what they have done. I found that very interesting, because if you think about, and I'm using hypothetical. I am not accusing anyone, so don't get me confused. But if the perpetrator were a family member or a close friend of the family, staging could be a way, and even if they're not, but you can see where you can't, like, if you are able to split the person who did this crime from yourself, put that distance there. So even in your own head, if you know it was an SA, okay, if it was an assault of that kind, but you staged it to look like, I don't know, a robbery, an arson, whatever, it is a way of, when the police talk about it, when the case is brought up, it's like, oh yeah, that, that robbery case or that arson case, whatever, they're not saying those words that are true, but you can kind of distance yourself. So staging also can be, again, not in every case, but it can be a way to put distance psychologically. Now, we know they want to put physical distance, evidentiary distance between them and the crime, so they're not even associated. But I didn't really understand that a lot of people needed that psychological distance too. So then you're looking at somebody who can, maybe compartmentalize, somebody that is able to, not saying, multiple personalities. That's not what I'm saying. But in a way. Have you ever met somebody like that who can do? It's crazy because I've met people who can be really, really good people in one way, very helpful, very empathetic. You just think they're great, and then you find out something horrendous that they've done or are doing, and you that's what makes your brain hurt. That's where the shock comes in, because you never imagined that this person is capable of that. So again, people have many facets. Unfortunately, a lot of them are not pretty facets. But people are not flat, and that's what I've said about everybody. Even these, even crazy creators, and like I've had crazy people that you're trying to help, they're not flat. That's actually a psychological diagnosis. So you have to keep in mind that this is how people get away with things. Yes, you're right, Annalise. Young girls don't voluntarily remove their clothing. Usually, I don't know. I've met a few. But you're right in this case, certainly. Sociopaths tend to have narcissistic traits. Yeah, and thank you for that, Lord. Shh, Sachi. Did I say hello to you, Detective Golden? If I didn't, hello, hello. I am so sorry for the cat. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, and then we're going to get to the ruins. It's reported that the FBI said the scene was definitely staged. Maybe the ruins said that. Possibly. I volley between two different points. Like, Jeffrey Turco and the professor at Harvard both said that these are Odinistic symbols. However, they weren't necessarily strict, by the book, Odinistic symbols, but they could be fanboy, fangirl, whatever. Somebody who knows a little and is trying to recreate it. Certainly, that would suggest that would be staging. Sachi, shh. Oh my God. I can't even hear myself think. I hope she's not as loud to y'all as she is to me. I don't know what happened. I see Kelly's talking to Art of Deduction. I don't know what happened there, so I'm okay. All right, so let me go on for just a second, and I'm still way behind on y'all's comments, so I do apologize. All right. The next thing that I learned, well, I didn't really learn this because it's pretty obvious, but staging can often leave behind additional evidence such as fingerprints or DNA. Of course it can, because, if you came in there clean, but then you're going to, stage, well, the longer you're at the scene, right? The more stuff you touch, the more stuff you move. Even if you're wearing gloves, there's more of a chance that there's a hole in the glove, that you drop a glove, whatever, or that there is some other part of you that you didn't realize, maybe that you have a drop of blood that you didn't even realize. So yes, there could be. So that made me think, well, if it was staged, they really should have more DNA. So, you can be careful, but that was a lot of staging. You've got not one, but two bodies, right? You've got a lot of, and the changes of clothes and all this stuff, and the positioning. By the way, I was reading somewhere this week that, and I had it pulled up, but it's not in these slides, that according to some different branches of Norse religion, that Libby's body placed with one arm up and one arm down was actually a rune in itself. Okay, that sticks on her did not necessarily have to be a rune because the position of her body was that. So, I am not into Norse religion, but that this was from a very reputable source, and I meant to put that on here. Yaya Kelly, hello. All right. Let's see. Let me go on a little bit because I promise you there is a lot to say here. And okay. Staging shows calmness and critical thinking. This right here was the point that I really started thinking, okay? I guess my brain was out to lunch for the rest of it. Not really. But I guess this made me stop more. Okay, so you are the perpetrator. Let's say that it's Richard Allen. Let's say that you're on the trails and you have about an hour, maybe a little less, to have everything said and done according to the narrative, according to what we've heard. Everything's done. Clothes changed, the unalivings, like Art said, exsanguination. Okay, that means letting out of the red stuff, just in case you didn't know. So you have all this happening to people, and apparently a lot of other people at the trails. All right, this is why I've said, my opinion, but I call BS that they were there when people were searching. But that's me. I can't prove that. That is my theory. But you have all this happening, and then it's staged on top of it. Now, this shows calmness and critical thinking from the perpetrator, which makes me ask, how calm can you be? Now, maybe if you're a sociopath, it doesn't bother you, but you've got such limited time. If, as it is how law enforcement says, the girls went to the bridge at a certain time and, they were abducted off the bridge and then unalived not too terribly far from the bridge. All this stuff happened, all this staging. You have got to be in some kind of a frenzy. All right. First of all, you have to have the passion to commit this crime, because the wounds that we know of from the Frank's motion are horrific. Okay. It's not just if it were a bullet. All right. If you take two people out with bullets and it's over, then you've got more time to work and stage. This was not fast. And I hate to say that because because of the families and friends. I mean, it's not new news, but I just hate to put it in those words, because those girls, it's hard to think about. All right. But this was not a fast unaliving, not to do all this and to stage. So if staging shows calmness and critical thinking, it definitely has to be pre-planned, right? Even if, hypothetically, they don't know. Let's just say he picked these two girls random, which to me is ridiculous. But if he did, he would already have to have a plan, right? Going out there, know exactly how and where. And I don't see how you can do that in a public place in broad daylight. That is a problem. Okay. You never know who's going to walk out of their house, who's going to walk off the bridge. You don't know. There's trails everywhere. You would have to be demented to think that you could do this in broad daylight with all these people. Let's say that you thought that nobody would be out there, but clearly a lot of people have said they were there. So you have seen that there's activity. Now you're going to do this in broad daylight and be calm and have critical thinking. No, I think that is a problem. So if this element of staging, now you may have said, oh, I plan to, you may say, I plan to commit a crime and I'm going to stage it to look like the Odinist. Okay. Because you have a beef with them for whatever twisted reason that you have. Still, there are too many elements in here for broad daylight. And how are you going to be calm and do all this knowing that you could, be discovered at any moment? So for that reason, I don't think it happened in the middle of the afternoon. But if you have to have all this to stage, I would say the F on the tree, the way, if, not if, because whether it was meant to be that way or not, from the diagrams that we've seen from court TV, we know that Libby's body had one arm up, one arm down. So was she a ruin? Well, it does take prior knowledge. Somebody knows, okay? Even if you don't practice, you know somebody who does. You've studied this to some degree. Yes, Hiawatha, we talked about that before you got here. And I told everybody, please go watch that video. I did know about the Farm Bureau building. I just wasn't sure where the old one was. But I didn't mention it. Yeah, well, that's okay. But she does a great job, y'all. Please go watch that video. Let's see. Blurry Face says, does anyone think Ellie is involved in the leak? I am going to say this. From what I've heard and read and seen on various discussions and whatever, I'm going to say that leak occurred way before, what was it, September, October? Some of that information leaked a long time ago, in my opinion. So it doesn't look good, does it? Kind of is a setup. Here's the thing. If there were photos, which we know there were they like professional crime scene photos? Or were they like from some of the searchers? What about the first group that came out there, the first ones that found them? Did they have a phone and snap a picture? Is that what got leaked, or was it something else? The leak from the defense would make me think they were actual crime scene photos. So if they were out before then, it could only have come from two places. It either came from a searcher originally, or it came from law enforcement, because, the defense didn't have it. So if that was an early leak, and so many people have made reference in a roundabout way, if you listen to what they're saying, they don't come out. A lot of people have not just come out and said, oh, by the way, I've got the photos, or I've seen the photos, but they have said many things that make you know many, many months ago that they had seen, or they have a copy of the photos. Now, you can go find some of that on your own, who said what and when, but that is the way only two ways it could have happened. Let's see. Okay, Yaya Kelly, this is why good residents and family in Delphi shouldn't, I guess you mean, fall in with the prosecution. I believe the perp's still out there. I do too. And whether RA is part of a group, I do not know. But I definitely, perp is out there. And here we are. While the perp is out here, loose and free, we're here arguing about ridiculous little things that some creator said or did or whatever, or this little tiny thing. I'm like, at this point, yes, we can speculate on whether Richard Allen is guilty or not. And yes, I think we should advocate for better conditions. Even if he's guilty, he should be in better conditions. However, we've lost sight of what's really important because we're not there. All right, let me keep going. So what do y'all think about that calmness and critical? Do you agree, disagree? How do you think that, goes into here? Okay, staging changes the nature of the crime. Yes, well, we talked about that already. But if it is an SA, okay, an assault of that kind, and that is the motivation, but it's staged to look like an arson, well, it does change the nature of the crime. And it also changes who you think the perpetrator is, because arson is completely different, or robbery completely different than an SA, because that's going to be more personal, or it doesn't have to be somebody certainly there are a lot of cases where it's not, but you have a certain mindset and a certain thought, okay, a certain reasoning, very, very different into something else. Let's see. Wisdom Sleuth, and I'm so far behind, I'm not sure who we're talking about now. He was the creator that popped up when I was looking at bridge websites, and he had stuff on YouTube. He was also walking down all those old tracks. I can't, you know what? I can't remember who it was. I did see that though. I wonder, Yaya says, Nick had better be prepared for court in less than 70 days. If they are reinstated, oh my gosh, isn't that going to be crazy? It's a new day. Hello, finally here. That's all right. You just come on in. I did hear that Julie Melvin was going live, I think on Crime Night, right? Or did she, I know, there's a lot of good stuff tonight. And I very much appreciate y'all being here. Are we talking about, Anna says, are we talking about Greeno doing the walk down the tracks? That is not who I'm talking about. I saw somebody else do that. All right, let's go on. Perpetrator is likely deceptive and manipulative, shows need for control and power. Yeah. So here you go. Now, it changes the nature of the crime, but also what we see as the actual perp, right? You know that deception is going to be part of his or her nature, and control, the need for control and power, manipulation. So when you're looking for a perpetrator, you have to look for these qualities in a person. Usually, now I've met a lot of nice people who I found out on the down low were really, control freaks. However, this is the South, and that's what we do. We mask everything. Not me. I'm wildly unpopular in some circles. I don't mask things very often. First of all, you can read it on my face. I can't undo my face. I try to do the Southern thing, but I'm not successful a lot. So is it possible in the South? You betcha. Other places, not so sure. What I'm going to say, though, is you have to look, once you get to know a person or a family or whatever, you do find out quickly how manipulative and controlling they are. So if you have a perpetrator over here, first of all, and I know y'all, some of you going to come at me, but I do have a lot of unfortunate knowledge about the occult, okay? And I do say unfortunate, but I mean, just think about it. If someone most people go into witchcraft or other areas of the occult for a few reasons. One is power, right? You don't like your situation. You don't like what somebody else is doing to you. You don't like whatever. You want more money. You want, people usually start, and I didn't mean for this to be an occult class, but people usually start because they want a certain thing. Okay. They're tired of being poor. They're tired, they want someone to fall in love with them. They want this, they want that. So usually people are drawn to the occult because they want something that they don't feel like they can achieve by normal means. Okay. Like they're just not going to get a huge, cash cow, or they're not going to get a high paying job. Whatever it is their goal is, they feel the need to manipulate and control. Therefore, and the church is, that's not where you're going to find that kind of stuff. So, they're out looking for another source. And a lot of people get caught up. Maybe it's revenge. They hate somebody and they really want to see something bad happen to them. This person who seems to be golden, everything they touch, and, you can't stand them and you just want to see something happen. I mean, there are a lot of dark and manipulative reasons that people go into these different areas. So it usually starts because you want control. Now, that part of a staging very much mirrors Odinism, right? Or I'm not going to say Odinism. It matches the occult. Okay, because there's a lot of different, Norse religion or whatever doesn't necessarily mean that. However, I will say this. If you are, we get into a touchy area, but if you are using spells, runes, whatever to manipulate or attempt to manipulate, the world around you, then, you do fall into this category. And people sometimes say, what's the difference in that and prayer? Well, prayer shouldn't be manipulative, although I have seen it. I'll be the first one to say I've seen it be manipulative, but it's not supposed to be. Okay. And I'm not here to talk about that tonight because I could go off. On that. But you see what I'm saying? So when you're looking at the staging and you're already looking for someone who needs power and control. Now, for some people, some perpetrators, it's just the need to control. That's why they do engage in CSAM and SA. I have got something in my eyeball, and I don't know what it is. A hair, I guess. But now I can't see. If I'm winking at you, don't take it personally and don't send me pictures. But anyway, yeah. So you see what I'm saying? It kind of fits. Now, could it just be somebody who likes to assault people? It could be. It is a lot of times. But it's not out of the realm of possibility, which again makes me go, All right. Let me catch up with y'all. What do you think? Velvet, you can reach me at silkyandSouthern@gmail. Just so y'all know, that is my email. That's my business, whatever. It's my YouTube email that I, answer y'all on. I'm going to say this. Hi, Watha, because I think it's hysterical. Okay. Take it how you want to. No, Wisdom Sleuth. Sorry. Hi, Watha. When you wonder what motivation is, you just look at the circus tent of excitement and slick Nick's pants. Another 2 million and another Halloween gathering pig roast to go without doing work. I'm sorry. That is just funny. Y'all crack me up. You really do. I love I love to hear y'all so much. You're very, very not just knowledgeable and wonderful people who like gather information, but y'all funny too. All right. All right, let's go on with this because I am so far behind. All right, here's something else. They often have a sense, this is interesting, of powerlessness in other areas of their life. It requires foresight and planning, which we talked about. Okay, so now you're looking for somebody, if you're talking staging, you're looking for somebody who feels powerless in their own life in some area. I mean, you can think about like maybe if you're looking at a male perpetrator, like maybe somebody whose wife really wears the pants in the family and really dominates him, and he feels crushed and powerless and less manly because of it. Or someone in his life is making him feel that way, whether it's a boss, a wife, a family member, whatever. This is something, a lot of times they commit crimes like this to feel that power, but they also stage for this reason because they feel powerless. Maybe they need to they need to distance themselves psychologically from what they just did. And they're helpless in other areas. They want to manipulate and control. And so they're going to taunt the police. They're going to commit this crime to start with. Or, like we talked about, could they be in, an alternate religion where they're trying to control things a different way? All of these factors, when you start looking at people who, and I'm not going to call names and I'm not going to call out things that I've observed, because as well as I do who the people are that the Frank's Motion names. And if you go, we've gone through some of these Facebook profiles, by the way, but if you go through some of these profiles and you can see, as a lot of people do, okay, we all, myself included, on Facebook, we all talk about, things that we like, don't like. We're griping about whether we're married or whether we're single or whatever is going on. And so it's pretty personal in a lot of ways, So, you can see a lot of the struggles and the comments, that people make on other people's posts that have been named, kind of the areas that they struggle in. So you can kind of see, all right, point out where certain people potentially, perhaps, may feel that powerlessness and frustration and need to feel powerful, which, again, an occultic scenario does give you that sense of power, all right? As you're doing the things that some of them do, and not all of them are into dark or black magic, but as you are doing this, you get that sense of power. And it's also, misleading. It is controlling. And it helps fill that void, of powerlessness. Now, does that mean that everybody, who's into an alternate religion goes around doing this? No, not at all. See, Sachi is, bemoaning the whole thing. She's, okay, let's look at this. How is Nick explaining the 2 a.m. phone pinging, yet it gets found under Abby? Or the 2:13 a.m. scream, look at another gematria to Halloween full moon. Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what, I understand this. I am not I have read about gematria, and it has to do with numbers, and it's a whole education. And I have never been one who really goes deep into that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And I will say this, when you start looking at numbers and things like that, it is really crazy and really interesting. And it goes deep. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, the being found under, look, that phone, I have such an issue with that phone. I have so many issues with that phone. But that's not what I'm talking about tonight. But that is a big, it's a, I don't even have words. Not that I want to say right now. Hey, Sleuthy Goosey, good to see you. And anything that y'all want to add and say up here, I would. Hey, there are so many of you that are so smart. I would love to just throw a link out there and say, come up on panel. Let's talk about it. However, the last time I did that, I got trolled really bad. And it was really disgusting. So I don't throw a link up unless it's members only. All right. All right. So we talked about the need for control, manipulation. We talked about being calm, critical thinking. And now we're looking at powerlessness and foresight and planning. Again, I don't know how you can plan for such an event in the middle of broad daylight on an afternoon when people are all around. But that's what they say. All right, let's go on, because there's a lot of other things that I want to talk about. Okay, I'm going to read this. And this is just a side note. This came from, I think I saw this video. All right. Let me just read this part. In an interview with Fox 59, and this talking about Becky, revealed that she knew Libby was meeting someone at the bridge, but did not know who it was. She also mentioned that she had a feeling that something was wrong when the girls didn't return on time. All right. Let me go back for just a second on this. All right. Let me say, for, the millionth time on this channel, that I am not accusing the family. I am not accusing anyone. As a matter of fact, I see a lot of things, I'm like, I would feel like that. I would, whatever. But I did see this interview, and I think it possibly has been taken down. I could not remember. When I watched it, I was like, oh, I know exactly where this is. I'm going to reference this. Like, I thought, I'm never going to forget this. But guess what? The ADD kicked in, and I forgot. Then I have looked for this for months. Now, a friend of mine found at least this reference to it. Okay? So we were talking about it the other day. And there is absolutely 100% an interview with a news, and I didn't know it was Fox 59, but it is, I definitely saw a news report that where Becky is talking about Libby. She knew Libby was meeting somebody at the bridge. She did not know who this person was. And, then of course she had the bad feeling they didn't, show up on time, but she did admit that Libby was meeting somebody. Now, don't crucify Becky for that, okay? Don't do it. I mean, in a small town like Delphi, all right, there's problems, but you think, there comes a point where you have to let your kids go, and you have to let them, and it was only going to be like, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours? You think it's safe. You think they'll probably be out there by themselves. And then, they're meeting somebody. Like, look, I think no person can ever say, I've never done something like this, because I think every parent has at some point or another. Sometimes it's like, it's hindsight. Like, you make a quick decision, you're not really thinking about it, you're like, okay, whatever. And then you're like, holy moly, why did I do that? Now, who was she meeting? And now they don't want to talk about it. Well, we've heard all kind of things that Libby was supposed to talk to someone from law enforcement about something, all kind of speculation there. Maybe she was just meeting, maybe she was trying to meet, Anthony Shots. We don't know. But I think that probably was scrubbed because, people were going to crucify Becky with it. And I don't think that should be the case. But that interview did happen 100%. Hello, Crime Geek. Good to see you. Let me back up. Somebody said something important over here. Hello, I have Apophis. Good to see you. Let's see. A phone doesn't stop pinging at 5:30. Yes, and ping around town. Yes, and then go silent. Then suddenly a flash signal at 2:15 a.m. Certainly, neither of the girls would have turned it back on. Absolutely. In fact, I did a tiny little video on that months ago because that's what I said too. Exactly. That was some strange activity. So, just think about it. All right. Let's say, sake of argument, that everything that law enforcement says is 100% true. How do you explain? And I know they're like, it's a small town, different towers, blah, blah, blah. Look, I get that, but I also call BS on that. My kids, we've been in very small areas. Yes, it might not be exact. You cannot tell the exact spot that they're at, but it's not all over town. So you tell me, how does Libby take a video on the bridge, then the phone goes dead, but then it's pinging all over town? If it's pinging all over town, it's because the phone is moving all over town, right? So, who had that phone? It couldn't have been, it couldn't have been Abby or Libby if everything was the way they said in the middle of broad daylight right down there from the bridge. If it wasn't Abby or Libby, it was the perpetrator. But then the perpetrator goes back and puts the phone under Abby's body. It pings again and, 2:15. Strangely enough, they hear screams out there about 2:30. So the perpetrator goes back. Oh, but the dogs have been called off and they don't want people searching that area. Huh. That's interesting. Why wouldn't you want people searching that area? Especially when the phone is pinging. But you don't have time. You don't have enough people to go out there when you hear screams. You see, this is where it gets very shady. And it makes no sense. That phone was pinging around town. Somebody had that phone. That's all I'm going to say about that. There was something else, though. I'm sorry. Y'all are talking so much, and I am so far behind. I might have missed some of it. If I did miss something important, I'll try to catch it in another video and address it, okay? All right. Let me go back. So I threw that video in there about the Fox 59 thing just because I saw it and I didn't want to forget to tell y'all. If y'all haven't seen that, you're right. I have Apophis. That phone shouldn't have pinged at all. At all. Absolutely. So, why was it? Somebody can explain that? All right. Woundology. I don't know. I probably made this word up, okay? I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know. I make stuff up when I don't know what it is. Not about facts, though, all right? It might be a thing. But here are some very interesting things that some of this is not going to be any groundbreaking news. Like you've probably, if you studied it at all, you've probably seen it. But let's put it together with the staging. All the things that we know about the kind of person that stages, okay? They think they're really super intelligent. They want to taunt the police. They want to put a psychological barrier between them and the crime as if they didn't do it. They stage it, make it look different. They are people who are manipulative, controlling. They feel powerless in their own personal lives in some area. And this is, probably why they committed the crime to start with, but also why they're staging it, because they want to secretly, be in control of this whole thing, manipulate this whole investigation. What else? Those are the things that I remember offhand that we talked about. So add that to the actual wounds. Now, again, we don't have the coroner's report. We do not have the autopsy to see exactly what happened. So, we're kind of going on the Frank's motion, what they said happened, or what has been leaked, but that's even iffy. So many things. We do know, okay, no brainer. Stabbing. Oh, I don't think I can say that on YouTube. Anyway, what am I going to say instead of that? I don't know. It suggests physical strength. Of course it does. Of course it does. Because it's not like, it's not like a gun. You just, pull a trigger. No. So you're talking about somebody who is not small and weak. We've got two girls, right? And this is about that particular thing. I'm not saying that is exactly, the cat. The cat. I'm not saying they were, shh, baby, Sachi, please. I'm not saying they were stabbed, okay? They had knife wounds, all right? But this is this kind of knife wound. We don't know if they were or not. Doesn't seem like they were. So we know it's going to be somebody who has strength, no matter what, no matter there was a knife involved. However the cuts happened, it required physical strength. All right. Now the location, chest or back. Well, we know from what the Frank's motion said that the wounds were, they weren't like arms, hands, things like that. They were into the core of the body or the neck. So that shows the intent for having a short amount of time. Now that part does go with being that if you were going to be there in the middle of the afternoon. Again, it's ludicrous, but let's say that was the intent and that was the plan. That was, So, yes, because that you've got to hit vital organs. Also, I would say this, and it seems to me that from what I read in the Frank's motion, didn't they say about Abby, it was like side of the neck in the heart area? Okay, that would definitely, the neck, not so much. Like, you can't miss that. But you have to have a little bit of idea of where heart is, because it could be, you might not know. They're kind of hidden, and then you got all the ribs and stuff like that. So I don't know how many wounds there were. We don't know. Yeah, and we're going to talk about BTK just a little bit. Shane says, oh, I just took it away. Shane says, BTK unalived 8 people and no one thought he had skeletons. Yeah, to me that's massive. Would you work an extra day and stay? What? I don't know. What are y'all talking about? A hotel? I don't know. But yeah, BTK, although I will say this about BTK, he did have a lot of social, he was in charge of a lot of stuff, and people thought he was a good guy, sort of. But when all that broke, I did see a lot of interviews from people that said he was massively controlling. Like, he would report people's grass being, just half an inch too high, whatever. Like really, really, he got off on the power of being able to control people. So, that is also one of the things that we're looking at with this perpetrator because of the staging. All right. That's suggestive. Doesn't mean it has to be, but it's suggestive if you're going to stage that you're going to have these control issues. Is Richard Allen controlling? I mean, I don't know. I don't know him personally, so I couldn't say for sure. What I can say is it he doesn't appear to be, but I don't know him. So, his family, Kathy, would be the only ones to be able to say, 100% whether that's true or not. He does not strike me as that, but, I've been wrong about a lot of people, made a lot of boneheaded decisions. So there you go. All right, let me see. Let me go down here. Okay, you're talking about, let me see this. Wisdom Sleuth says, so you're saying Guys Down the Hill sounds like it's got a drawl. Okay, so that would be a distinctive accent. Go down the hill, or down the hill. Should be saying y'all and crick versus creek. I'm not from Indiana, so all I can say is he ain't from Alabama. Okay. I don't know. I talked to several of y'all, but way different. You would definitely know better how that sounds. Okay. Let me go back. Now, the next thing we're going to look at. Well, did it stop? No. Okay, my computer froze. Sorry. All right. Now, remember we talked about the wounds that we know for sure that they had were in the core of the body. So that means what? Short endurance. Like you want to get this done quickly. Or, yeah, you want to make sure like you're not doing this over and over. You want to make sure that the first couple of blows, that's it. Multiple random wounds suggest a random or frenzied attack. Well, that makes sense, some of these cases where, either the husband or the wife or whatever, they end up, taking a sharp instrument and unaliving their significant other. Man, that is a hard way to say that, you do. But anyway, you do see some of the more of the frenzy. You have the wounds on the arms, defensive wounds, blah blah blah. So it's more of I just can't stand you anymore, and that was not the case with Abby and Libby, according to Franks. So that doesn't mean, or that would mean that they didn't like run into let's say some other teenagers, whatever they had a beef with, and somebody gets crazy and just starts doing that, because it wasn't a frenzied attack, right? So it was intentional for whatever reason, but it wasn't in the midst of, a big altercation, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean? All right. Unmasked says, and this is probably from a long time ago. Yeah, it was. I think the family says they've been told what they've been told to say, and it's hard to keep up with because it's not always true. I definitely think that's, could be a lot of it. Hello, Steffa. Man, okay, so let me just go all the way down here. Y'all have so many good things to say, and I have lost a lot of it. And I don't want to. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, somebody said something about a planned attack. Hold on, let me find this. It's really hard to do this without a mouse. All right. I found this interesting. All right. This kind of, eek, eek. Again, we know that Libby was not the victim of this. I don't know, because all we know is there was a neck wound on Abby, but it could have been a slice, but there was also one in the chest, the heart, something like that. So that would be, I would think that would have to be something. All right. It's a sharp instrument. Was that a knife? Was it, I don't know. Was it a sword? Was it a knife? Was it, we don't know the length, the depth of the weapon. Was it an arrow? Was it I don't know. What was it? Something sharp, okay? But that kind of thing can show, again, here comes that control again. Control, rage, or contempt. It's hard to think, about somebody doing that to someone out of contempt. I know it happens, but it makes you think, how upset do you have to be at somebody? You hold them in such contempt that you can do that. Rage. Okay. Was the perp angry? Did the girls try to run away? Was that the rage? What was it? But then if you go the other route and you say, let's consider the occultic route, all right? There are some things that, please, Sachi, please stop. There are some things that definitely could line up with an occult activity, such as the neck wounds on Libby, all right? Exsanguination, absolutely. We know that Abby was clean, according to the Franks, right? There wasn't this huge, and I don't understand this, okay? Because if you go back to, what is it, the Ron Logan? Is it the Ron Logan search warrant or PCA, something like that? The FBI says that there was a lot of the red stuff at the scene. But fast forward to now, there's not. Like, where is it? Well, how did the FBI see it and then we don't see it here? See, this is what is infuriating about this case. It's like, okay, we've got one, warrant out here where it honestly sounds like they think, and they did think, that Ron Logan was the perp. But then, you turn around, oh, well, no, it wasn't him. Well, now all the evidence has changed. For God's sakes, the bullet, everything. And this is what, state of Indiana, makes you look suspicious. That and the lies and everything else. This is what, people aren't stupid. And guess what? Your jury's not going to be stupid either. And they're going to be saying, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up. And, not saying that Richard is or isn't guilty, but what I'm saying is these kind of contradictory things is what is keeping this case, one of the things, all right? That I believe there's a lot of cover-up. That's just my opinion. But this is one of the things, even if you're not covering up anything, that keeps this case just going. You don't have anything concrete. When you think something's concrete, then another document comes out and it's not. Hello, Dre. Dylan, hello. Let's see. Let me see. Okay, I have missed part of this conversation, but Dylan says to Shane, I believe they know the perp for sure. I'm just saying it could have been an acquaintance. It could have. And you're right. Also, Shane, the water is a massive possibility, but if the girls were unalived in the creek, it would take at least 2 people to lift to the crime scene. Yes. And I'm just going to tell you this, as a nurse, and having, unfortunately, worked with dead bodies, or even unconscious bodies for that matter. Even a tiny little person, okay, even your little 98 pounds, relative, when that person is unconscious for whatever reason and they are like dead weight, sometimes it takes three people to move one little tiny person, because there is like, it is completely like, it feels like they weigh three times as much. It's crazy how that works. So yeah, you're talking about Abby, and then Libby, who was bigger than Abby. Yeah, one person, look, especially if you're a smaller little person like Richard Allen was, there's just one way to say it. You're going to be plumb tuckered out when you move one body, much less two. Now, I do take into consideration that in that event, you would have a lot of adrenaline flowing. So definitely, you can sometimes do superhuman things. Is it impossible? No, just not. Yeah, you got a lot of factors going on here. It would make me say though this: if this crime was committed because of control, rage, or contempt, what would be the motive? Like what would be the motive from girls so young? What could they have done to make you go this far in that direction? All right, let's move on. And this is something, and of course, this gets way in depth, and I would love to hear some of y'all's opinions. But each wound tells a story. It does. And that can even be, remember this, it can even be on the same body. All right. Just because you have one wound that is, even with the same weapon, it doesn't have to mean the same thing. Now, with Libby, and it's so heartbreaking, but how many times do you see somebody who is just exsanguinated? That's it. Around the neck. Like, that's really for whatever reason you had. If you had beef with Libby, if you were like, that is completely intentional. You have got to go away permanently. And it's, yeah, like I said, it can be a lot ritualistic. It certainly can be. That is probably one of the most common ways, that or a stomach wound. But it's pretty common. And but the thing of it is you just, as far as I know, now I don't know everything, but we know that was like the main thing. So if there were not any other wounds on her, that does tell its own story. Now, Abby had a couple of them. So what does that tell us? Well, we don't know the depth of what kind of weapon, what was determined, but I definitely say that is going to be a big thing. Wait, I am missing so much. Y'all, I don't know. Y'all talking about the leaks? Crime Geek says, who and why did it take 5 years to go back and get Alan? Yeah. Isn't that the question of the day? And Crime Geek, I talked about this in my last live. Okay. You're an officer, you take a report, and you may not feel like, okay, you may think that this person is, let's just say, you're looking at Richard Allen and you're saying, oh, he's this little guy and he just wants to be a part of this. Or maybe, you're looking at him thinking, maybe there is no way you're the guy that we're looking for. All right. That's your thought. But after some time passes, all right, even a year, and you've got no leads or you don't know and it's just getting more convoluted, certainly, down the road, before 5 years, any kind of officer is going to say, you know what? Okay. Well, they said we're going in a new direction. At what point are you just such an idiot that you can't remember you talked to somebody who said they were there? Even if you still don't think they're the perp. Like, yeah, I talked to that little guy and I don't think he has anything to do with it. But at what point don't you call him back in and say, maybe he did see something. Let me ask this question. Maybe you're not asking the right questions. All right. Sometimes to spark a memory, it's not that you're asking incorrect questions. You're just not asking the full scope of the right questions that makes that spark in somebody. Oh, yeah. You're just saying, I went here, I saw this, I saw that, and then somewhere down the road, it comes all back around and somebody says, well, you were out there. I know this is weird, but did you see a cat? Oh, God, yes, I did see a cat. Okay, you don't think it even had anything to do with anything, so you didn't mention it. But then, you see what I'm saying? Asking the right questions can lead you somewhere else. So you're going to tell me you knew that this guy was here. You took a statement, lost it, whatever. First of all, you had to spend, I'm going to say, you had to spend a minimum of 5 minutes, at the very least, taking this guy's statement. Hello, how are you? Yeah. I mean, you forget his name. I get it. I forget names a lot. But you're going to spend a minimum of 5 minutes with somebody and look at them. And, even though you can't remember their information, you live in a town of less than 3,000 people. And you're going to tell me all these years you haven't walked into CVS and said, oh, yeah, that's that guy. I remember talking to him. Don't know his name. I don't think he had anything to do with it. Don't know who he is, but, either you're lying or you're just really stupid. And that's just the only way to say that. Whatever. But see, these are all of the things that bother people. Hey, big fish, small pond. Yeah, I was going to say, we did. We all saw that one. And if you didn't, I've told everybody, go watch Unsolved Crimes Uncovered. That was really, really good. Really good. Okay, Annalisa says, one excuse for not checking with RA in almost 6 years is that the name written down was Whiteman or something, actually the street address of RA. Okay. I can see that being, again, I can see that being, you messed up on the report. Okay. Everybody's upset. There's a lot going on. But my thing is, I don't believe you can live in that town for 5 or 6 years and not at least remember you talked to this guy. Even if you have to go up and say, hey, hey, dude, I don't remember your name. I know we talked, about, you were out there, like, whatever. You never walked into CVS. You never saw him in this town. Come on. I call horse pucky on that. Either that or you have, the memory of a 6-week-old golden retriever. The girls, Olivia, you're right. The girls would have recognized an acquaintance. You're right. They would have. And here's the thing, though. If they took that video of Bridge Guy, and it's hypothetically like they say, I mean, you also don't, I don't know. Yes, I think there's been so much discussion and so many questions about that video and guys and down the hill, and that might not even be the same. Bridge Guy is not necessarily the guy that said guys down the hill. And down the hill and guys might not be the same person. You know what I'm saying? There's so much convoluted stuff. So, like, what is even true about any of that? you know? But yeah, they would have recognized an acquaintance. Certainly, they wouldn't have taken a video of him. So the girls, I would say, obviously didn't know him, or the girls either didn't know him, which is kind of strange because I'm sure they were in CVS, like at least recognize him a little bit, or it wasn't him, or it wasn't Richard. Either they didn't know Richard Allen, or it wasn't Richard Allen. One of the two of those is true. All right. We've been going for a while. All right. This is the one. And I think this is the last thing. All right. And I want to say this very gingerly because of the nature of the ages and the crime and these two precious girls. And I never want to say or make anyone feel like I am not compassionate towards them, because I mean, part of it is being a nurse for so long. You talk about a lot of things. You have to put a wall between yourself. And Steph, I know you know this, and some of you other people that are nurses. You have to be able to talk about any kind of thing because of the situation. And if I just want to say, if I ever come across like it doesn't mean anything, it's just that nursing part kicking in, because it is very hard for me to think about what happened, as a person, to think what happened to these girls. But back to Libby's wounds, I think it absolutely not only shows absolute intent. This wasn't like to scare. Well, this is absolute intent. And, the depth has been reported to be very, very deep. Okay. That's how I'm going to say it about that. But like this says, it was slow and tortuous. Yes, because whether it was exsanguination or whether it was just a ritual or whether it was just an intent, let's get this over with, it's on the more slow order. Like, I guess, like, there are certainly way slower methods, but at the same time, there is a lot of consciousness. Okay. For example, if you shoot someone, and even though it might take a while, if it is, they usually, it's a shock to your body of what is going on, and there's a lot of confusion. Some people don't really feel the pain as much as, like, and they may go in and out of consciousness too, but that particular way is more of a slow fade. And especially depending on the initial exsanguination, how fast was it? How slow was it? It could have been very tortuous. And then maybe, I hope and pray it was not. But again, showing the need for power and control. All of this goes into the kind of perpetrator that would stage. Now, our big question is, do you think, in your opinion, does this lean more towards potential, I don't even want to say pagan religion. Let's just say some kind of religion. Does it relate to the people that we can see? We see their Facebooks. We see all, kind of stuff. Do you see this as being an actual crime based on this knowledge of staging and, the wounds, as an Odinistic or whatever, even if they weren't strict Odinism, if they were doing their own thing? Does that seem like that makes more sense, or just another kind of perpetrator with a whole different motive, or maybe several of them, who staged it? for power and control? I mean, do you think, because I keep going back and forth on this, does it have the marks of Odinism, or let's just say a ritualistic unaliving? Absolutely. Sure it does. Has all kind of marks. But here's the thing. Ellie says it's staged. Well, I would be inclined to believe that. But then again, Ellie has said a lot of things that aren't true. So I began to think, is it true? Or imagine Robert Ives is an attorney, okay? Now, I'm not saying he doesn't know anything about crime, because I'm sure he's seen a lot of it and he has a lot of knowledge. But what if they said to him from the very beginning, well, we know it's staged. Well, we know it's staged. You hear this over and over, this repetition. This is hypothetical, of course, but let's say he heard this from everybody. It was staged. It was staged. It was staged. In your head, you hear this repetition a lot. What if he believed that and said, okay, it's staged, and these are the reasons why? Well, I would normally say that Ellie is just being honest with you. But we're talking about the two guys that just want to lie on their affidavits, and a prosecutor that wants to lie, and God only knows what. And then, you've got these witnesses that what they're saying in their affidavits don't sound anything like what is in the dang PCA. The car, the muddy bloody, it's like, well, were y'all even on the same planet? Because I can't tell. There's so many discrepancies and so many lies and so much deceit, and now so much cover up and all kind of crap going on. I have to go back and wonder, wait a second. Let's start at step one. Was it staged? Maybe. It absolutely could have been. It almost, absolutely couldn't have been too. And it would make it so much easier for everybody involved if we could just get the truth, the straight truth. I don't have a dog in this fight. It's either Richard or it's not, or he's involved or he's not. What I want to know is I want some straight answers, because we don't seem to be getting that from Indiana, from Carroll County, from anybody. Well, if you don't have straight answers, you can't say this was staged, because we don't know. Y'all just up here lying about everything. We don't know. That's why I started looking at the staging. Could it be? Well, we know the things that keep coming back up, power, control, all this stuff. Could it be Odinist? Could be. Maybe it wasn't staged. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe it's not. How are you supposed to, and I think somebody put in here, I think Crime Geek said earlier, yeah, from the very beginning, I knew that this wasn't going to be solved because of all this, all these kind of discrepancies and whatnot that you said. And that's absolutely the truth. How are you going to convict somebody and get to the truth when nobody seems to know what the definition of a lie is, even on an affidavit? It's crazy. It's lunacy. All right. Let me see what y'all are saying. I'm getting wound up again. Y'all know. Okay. Annalise says, the diagram of the crime scene leads me to believe probably one perp, more or less, dragged the victims close together. I'm going to say yes. I think they probably were dragged. I'm just saying it was, or if there weren't drag marks, and I haven't seen drag marks, so I don't know. If there weren't drag marks, then they were carried by at least two people, if not more. Let's see. I'm Crime Geek. Don't be shy. You just tell us what you think. Be as vocal as you want to be. All right, let me see. I am behind on this one. I have a Apophis. They are going to do all that without leaving any DNA or other evidence, but leave the phone and then go walk down the street. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Right. You're not going to leave DNA, but you're going to leave the phone. Come on. Come on. Here's the problem I have. Here's the reason I have such a problem with the phone. Besides all of the stuff and the pinging all over town, all that stuff, okay? But I'm just talking about at the crime scene. The reason I have a problem with the phone is because you have not only unalived 2 girls, but you have undressed both of them. Because Abby's wearing the wrong clothes. Libby's not wearing clothes. So you've got clothes everywhere, and if you're staging it, you're supposed to be, doing some critical thinking here, but you're in a hurry because it's the middle of the day, and you've got a time limit, and you got to get out of there, and all this stuff going on. You're dragging people around, and you're taking clothes off, but you don't know there's a phone. When you're dragging somebody over there, you don't know that you have laid them on a shoe. You don't know, but the third shoe, by the way, for the 3 feet that Libby had. Was it Libby or Abby? Whose shoe was that? I can't remember. I think it was Libby's shoe. Anyways, one of them girls it was Libby's shoe. They had 3 feet, so there you go. That wasn't mentioned at the crime scene. Whatever. So you got a shoe and you got a phone. Well, that looks, to me, that does look like a staging, but it looks like a staging because they wanted you to find the phone and the shoe, right? Especially the phone. Interesting stuff on the phone. Well, you've got Bridge Guy there. Jeez, you've got your perpetrator, right? Whatever. Yeah, and you're going to just leave that, but you've committed all this. You've managed to stage the scene and do all this ritualistic stuff. But yeah, you seem to forget that a girl has a phone that now you can't find. So what? This is Barney Fife at the scene? The perpetrator, Like, oh, well, Andy, I forgot he had a phone. Whatever. Come on. Y'all are smarter than that. Let's see. What do you think so far about any of this? Has it made you think a little bit, like wonder? And what do you think? Do you still say it's staged? Is it not staged? Is it all a bunch of hoopla? Whatever. Oh, Annalise says, yeah, she's an official ripperologist. Look, me too, girl. I'm telling you. The hours I have spent looking at that case. Jeez. Okay, Mark Collins says you think it was trying to make it look somewhat ritualistic. And that is what it looks like, even though they said, the whole thing with the professor, whatever. But here's my question, though, too. And this is the thing that bothers me about that. All right. If there is zero truth to the Odinist thing, okay, it's completely staged, pinned on the Odinists. All right. If that's the truth, then why lie about it? Why not be transparent? Because it would definitely, if the evidence was there, you should have been able to say, yeah, you know what? We came on the scene, and that's the first thing we thought. We saw these marks, we saw these runes, we saw the F tree, we saw all this, and we really, really thought we were dealing with an occult group or person or something. But after we started really investigating it, we realized, and we talked to a Purdue professor and all this, when we started analyzing this, we realized that this was a fanboy. And we realized this was just a stage to make it look like something else. Okay, if you had given that explanation, it would have been very believable. And I think 99% of us would have said, okay, well, yeah, it was just staged. But the fact that you can't remember who the guy is, don't even know, it might have been Purdue. I don't know his name. I don't even know if he's still there. And he definitely said it had nothing to do with the Odinist. Okay. But then, and you even have your prosecutor in an email saying, hey, you know what? I've been asking all around and we have no idea. We've lost that information. I don't even know. I don't know anything about it. We probably, good chance we can't even get that information anymore. All right. If all of that is true, then why, as soon as the Franks motion came out and lays this out, are you scrambling? Oh, ta-da! Here is the professor. His name is Jeffrey Turco. And he talked to a guy from Harvard. They said it's a fanboy thing. But, Liggett and Leesenby say different things. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Do you see what I'm saying? If it was truly just a stage, then you're not going to try to cover up any of those details. You would be open and say, yeah, we thought that too. We thought it was the Odinist, but turns out it was just a stage. And this is why it wasn't the Odinist and it was Richard Allen. But here are the people that we talked to. And yeah, we're way past that. Why lie about it? Why lie on the affidavit? Why lie and say you don't know who the professor is? And when you do even reference the professor, say, no, he didn't have anything to do. Odinist didn't have anything to do with it. See, this does not make sense to me. What's the point of lying if you can just show, right down the line? Yeah, we checked that. We absolutely did. And it wasn't him, and it was Richard. Trying to make it look like the Odinist. See, this is a problem. This is a real problem. I don't think if that was true and it was all laid out perfectly like that, and that was part of the discovery, then the defense would have done the same thing, that supposedly the prosecution did, and said, oh, it looks like a ritual. Oh, but no, because this, and this. But that's not what happened. You're playing, cloak and dagger games and hiding stuff. For what? And even if I understand the prosecution doesn't want to share everything, they're trying to be, I get it. It's a game. It's like a chess game. But the problem with that is they're going to follow it down. And that there's got to be a point where it can't be, understand the game, but not to the point that you are going to lie on a legal document in an affidavit and say the complete opposite. This is what doesn't make sense. So then I have to stop and think, well, okay, it was staged. But was it staged? Because they want to cover it so bad, they're lying under oath. So is there some truth to this? That is the point that you have to say, I can't trust anything that the state is saying or doing. They're wilding up here in the courts. They're wilding with the law. Just doing whatever the judge doing, whatever the heck she thinks she is big enough to do. Again, it tells me this is probably how she's been running her courtroom. This probably ain't her first rodeo. You got people lying. It makes me think, yeah, are you covering up the truth after all? You have to go and keep looking back and over because they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you the truth. If you think they're going to tell you the truth, I got some property and somewhere in the desert to sell you. All right. What do you think? And I think all this is going to do, honestly and truly, I think all this is going to do is make a better chance for people for Richard Allen to have an appeal. The more they go through this, the more it's going to just be like a whole mess of holy crap. Digital said, Barney Fife and Roscoe P. Coltrane could have done better than lesbian Liggett, you know? At this point, I'm going to say you're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right. I am going to wrap it up. We've been going through this for a long time. Comment below. Tell me what you think. Is it? We've looked at some stuff. Is it staged? Is it not staged? If it's staged, then tell me what the reasoning is for the prosecution to lie so much about it and not just, let it be a thing. Actually, it would have been better. Another reason it would have been better for them to just, act like it's the truth. Because if the prosecution, maybe they don't think this much. I don't know. If the prosecution knows that it was staged and it wasn't the Odinist, and they're trying to, and so they know it's going to all come to nothing, they're going to let the defense just continue to waste their time. Oh, they're going to be chasing after the Odinist for at least 6 months here. That's going to give them less time when they finally realize that it wasn't true and that it was staged and all this kind of stuff. That's going to leave them less time for trial. And if they don't come to that end, then we already know we can disprove it and make them look like a couple of fools, talking about this ritualistic sacrifice when we know it didn't happen and we can prove it. So why lie about it? Again, back to square one. Is it or is it not staged? You tell me. Tell me what you think. I think anytime we talk about Delphi, everybody needs a drink, and I don't even drink. But I tell you what, I feel like I need one. Okay. Let me keep going. Yes, you're right. You are right. There are 2 different camps. Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing even though I'm not taking sides, one thing that I 100% agree with both the defense and law enforcement, they actually agree on one thing. It wasn't one perp, and I 100% agree. We can all agree on that. I just just working with humans in the capacity I do, not going to happen. Not everything that had to happen the way they said, the way it happened, the placement, all that, not going to happen with one person. Not in broad daylight. That's a big no for me. Code name Bianca? Is that Blanca or Bianca? I can't say. Bianca. Good to see you. The shirts that were made for the girls to resemble yes, girl love symbols. Maybe all these things mean nothing, but it's weird. And I think RA was involved either way. And he could have been. We might find some stuff that he was involved in that we know nothing about. If you don't know the symbols that she is referring to, go look it up. There are, just look at, I can't say the word, child lovers. Lovers of children. Is that okay? Starts with a P. Look at some of those symbols. All right, just look up symbols that mean that. Very interesting. You'll get a education that you never wanted. You can't unsee it. So tread with caution. Hello, Margaret. Good to see ya. I think you're talking about the judge. Yeah, she was granted more time in a thing today. It's crazy. All right. I am so glad that you were here. I've enjoyed the heck out of this. You tell me what you think. Tell me, staged, not staged. I already said that. Anyway, I'm I'm gonna stop talking for tonight because, for one thing, I can't hear myself think for the cat, and another thing is I'm tired and I need some coffee. Hope y'all have a good day. Oh, by the way, before I leave, I am trying to do a live with CJ possibly tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be morning, afternoon, night, whatever, but he's working on a project, and I want to catch up with Idaho. I haven't talked about Idaho for almost a year, but there's some interesting things happening, and CJ's working on something, and we're going to do a live together. And I think he'll really, really like it because he's doing an awesome job. So if you're interested in all in the Idaho 4, please, I'll put it on my community page or something and let you know when we're planning to go live. In the meantime, please, if you're in Indiana or anywhere, stay safe. Whatever you do, just stay silky and don't open emails.